After 22 chapters, we've learned a lot about the One Piece world, the different factions, the different viewpoints within those factions, people's hopes, dreams, goals, and treasure. We've got a pretty good idea of how the three members of the Straw Hat crew think, what they value, and how they respond to different situations. And now it's time to add a fourth, from a quiet, boring little village where not one, but two liars reside. What can these two liars teach us about the world, our characters, and the themes of the story? What can these two liars tell us about the point of East Blue? It's time for the introduction of Usopp, the everyman, and in some ways a very tragic figure. Why is that? No, not because of his comparatively tame backstory, not because Usopp is someone who lies to others, though that is certainly true, but because Usopp is someone who can't help but lie to himself. But let's look at how Usopp is first introduced. It's a clear, beautiful day, the early morning, Usopp overlooking the peaceful waters, and he decides, yes, today is a lovely, peaceful day. And then we see him shouting, "Horrors, we're doomed, the pirates are coming!" But most of the villagers aren't bothered. Even one uses it as an indicator that it's time to go to work. This is normal for them. This is a usual, peaceful day, shouting included. Then with a giant smile and a loud, "Just kidding," Usopp runs away from the pursuing villagers and congratulates himself on a job well done, bringing a jolt of excitement to his boring village. Next, we see Usopp's crew, three youth, Pepper, Carrot, and Onion, who we also see yelling about pirates just as Usopp was. Of course, Usopp doesn't believe him, some foreshadowing for later, but when Onion mentions Buggy's sign on the sail, Usopp makes a break for it, saying something about snack time, making an obvious lie about a medical condition. But he gets a touch of courage when he hears there's only 3 people and goes to defend our village and leads the way. There's several things we can immediately draw from Usopp's first scene. 1, he's been doing this pirates are coming routine for a long time. 2, he's a liar, obviously. 3, he sees his village as boring. 4, he's a pretty good runner. 5, he has managed to gain some followers that look up to him. 6, he's a coward. And 7, despite being a coward, he does want to protect his village. In regards to that last one, I can see it as Usopp being a bit of a realist. He's not a Zoro or Luffy type who is all, "It doesn't matter how many there are, I'll take them all down." He has a more realistic idea of what his capabilities are. If it was a full crew of pirates, he knows he doesn't stand a chance and wants to run away. But only 3? Well, maybe he'll be able to figure something out. Once he meets up with Luffy and the gang, we see 3 more aspects of him. 1, when he talks about Kaya, he acknowledges her wealth but says that nobody's more unfortunate than her. 2, he wants to be a captain, he offers to be captain for Luffy's gang. And 3, before all of this, he says an interesting line, "I'm a proud man, which is why they call me Proud Captain Usopp." So these are 10 things we learn about Usopp in his chapter of introduction, and in classic Oda style, we get both the surface level look at Usopp and hints at something deeper. On the surface, Usopp doesn't seem like much. He's a troublemaker, a liar, he talks himself up, yet he's a coward. But give him a moment's consideration and some interesting things come to light. He, legitimately, is trying to protect his village the only way he knows how, through deception. Yes, we the readers know that Luffy, Zoro, and Nami are all good people, but they are flying the notorious pirate Captain Buggy's flag. Usopp is legitimately showing bravery, staying behind even when his crew flee. Following the previous 2 stories of Buggy and Gaimon, his line about Kaya also gets the audience up to speed about how he views material wealth. Indeed, Kaya may be rich, and Usopp acknowledges that, and even sees how someone with material wealth can help Luffy and the crew, but in spite of her wealth, to Usopp, no one is more unfortunate than she is. Oh, and about Usopp's crew, he's got one. Yes, they're young children dressing up as pirates, but for one reason or another, Usopp has gained himself 3 followers. And he hasn't deceived them into following him either. They're more than capable of calling Usopp out on his lies. There is something about Usopp that is worth following. And Usopp is someone that wants to be followed, even needs to be, because beneath his bluster and his lies, there is something Usopp wants. I lead 18 million men. They call me proud captain. I'll be your captain, even getting the villagers to chase him in his first scene. That is Oda setting up the tragedy of Usopp, someone who does not find value in himself, but can only measure his worth by being seen by others, and trying to influence how they see him. But how does Oda use this intricate first chapter setup for the rest of the story? Well, as we come to learn, the story of Usopp in Syrup Village is about the power of lies, and in Usopp's case, how his lies can be used for good. Rather, I should stop referring to them as lies. In Usopp's case, they are given the moniker of stories, tall tales. A story of a fictional pirate that he dreams of one day becoming, and the adventures that this pirate goes on. Speaking of which, time to introduce a new concept to this series, the Hawk of Death treasure chest, named after the viewer that suggested it. Often in One Piece, things will be mentioned only to become relevant dozens if not hundreds of chapters later, so to save me the trouble of mentioning whenever something will be revealed in the future, I'll throw it in the HODTC to pull out again later. So, inexplicably, I'm going to throw in some of these tales of Usopp's in there, namely the one about the giant goldfish and an island of little people. But why does Usopp admire pirates so much? Well, we quickly find out. His father is a pirate, and not just any pirate, a pirate on Red-Haired Shanks' crew. More so than that, the fact that Usopp's father is a pirate is something that he is proud of, that he refuses to lie about, even if his life was easier as a result. And we get a phrase which is very important when talking about Usopp, a brave warrior of the sea. We are now beginning to piece Usopp together. He admires pirates, sees them as brave warriors. That's why he fashions himself as a pirate captain and tells stories about his pirate adventures, because he wants to be seen as a brave warrior of the sea. He doesn't see himself as a brave warrior of the sea just yet, but if everyone else does, well, maybe that's good enough. Of course, we see the price for lying to yourself and others for such a long time, as when pirates do show up, same as the classic fable of the boy who cried wolf, the village does not believe Usopp, thinking that this time is like all the other mornings when Usopp has ran through the village shouting doom via pirate invasion. But here's the thing, Usopp has never used his lies to hurt others. His lies are to build himself up in the eyes of others, the only exception being the morning pirate raid lie, which we'll learn about in due time. But the village doesn't realize that, even when they're surprised that Usopp has apparently turned to violence, and not even Kaya, who ironically said that she loved his lies because they were romantic. She most of all should have realized that because this lie was not romantic, it was not a lie at all. His own Usopp pirates who do believe him so much that when he does actually lie to them that pirates aren't invading, that they believe that lie. They are disappointed in Usopp because they know that Usopp wouldn't lie in this way. But with this lie, we see another way that lies can be used for good, to protect others. He protects his crew by making sure that they are away from danger. But now we'll take a break from Usopp and talk about the villain of the story, because at the start of this video, I said there was not one liar, but two. And the second is of course the villainous Captain Kuro of the Black Cat Pirates. Kuro is interesting because this is the first time that the main villain is not a reflection of Luffy, but is instead, in this case, a reflection of Usopp. Usopp lies openly and is known as a liar. Kuro has been living a lie and has been lying for years and getting away with it. Usopp uses his lies to connect to others, to make them smile. Kuro uses his lies to isolate Kaya and make her life worse. Usopp is proud of his pirate heritage and sees the pirate life as aspirational. Kuro is desperately trying to escape his pirate heritage and looks down at piracy and pirates. Usopp lies to Kaya to give her something. Kuro lies to Kaya to take something away from her. Usopp lies to protect his village and crew. Kuro lies to damage the village and plans to kill his crew. Everything about how Kuro lives, how he thinks, and how he lies is antithetical to Usopp's modus operandi. Usopp lies for good, Kuro lies for evil. And of course, we see Kuro projecting himself onto Usopp. He warns Kaya that Usopp is only after her wealth, but obviously, that's his goal. When he accuses Usopp of turning to violence when faced with difficulty, what does Kuro do when his plans start to go awry? And when we see Kuro describing his plans to Django, we see a final difference in his and Usopp's lies. Usopp struggles to lie to himself. He makes proclamations about how he's brave, a leader of men, but he doesn't believe it. He tells lies about himself, but his tragedy is that his confidence in himself is so low that the only lie that he tells that he does believe is that he isn't good enough. He isn't brave. Kuro, on the other hand, willfully deceives himself. He says he's not murdering Kaya, removing himself from the responsibility, but that's obviously not true. He says that he's gone legitimate, that he's a pacifist, but that's just a lie that he tells himself. He's convincing himself that he's gone on the straight and narrow, but he's still a criminal. But let's get into specifics on Kuro/Klahadore. This is Oda's first time trying to do a twist villain and, well, he's not very subtle about it. I mean, it starts off promising. The very first panel, well, actually second panel, that we see Kuro, he's drawn entirely in black. It really stands out against the white rendering of Kaya and her home, but when we next see Kuro rendered entirely not in silhouette, he's got two big piles of poop on his jacket. I mean, it's a choice, I guess. Despite Kuro looking clean, professional, well-mannered, well-respected, he's a big old pile of poop. And yeah, the way that he lies to Kaya and lies so that he can isolate her, he really is a piece of crap. He guilts her into doing what he wants. He lies about his origin to gain Kaya's trust. He twists Usopp's reputation as a liar to imply that he would hurt Kaya. When he feigns regret, he's only doing it to get Kaya to feel bad. Every lie that Kuro tells is self-serving and in a way that drags others down. There's a bit more to say about Kuro, but we'll get back to him in a moment, because it's time to talk about Usopp's most defining scene in the story, when he resolves himself to face the Black Cat pirates. And this scene is really important, and it's a sentiment we'll see echoed far into the future. When Usopp cares about something, and when the chips are down and it's do or die time, even if the odds are against him, Usopp is willing to put it all on the line, to protect his village, to protect Luffy's honor, to protect Nami, to protect the Going Merry, to rescue Robin. He'll be crying and trembling, but Usopp will do it. And it's sad that he thinks, because he is afraid, that this isn't bravery. Zoro and Luffy even say as much to his face. Even though he's afraid, that doesn't mean that they pity him or think less of him. It's the opposite. Because he's so afraid, yet willing to face the pirates alone, he's noble, and they are impressed. That's why they're willing to help him. Later on during the fight itself, it's when the Black Cat crew mocks Usopp's bravery and resolve that we get a moment of Luffy's actually mad. Laugh at Usopp again and I'll kill you. Yikes. It just goes to show how much he respects Usopp's bravery, similar to how he respects the bravery of Mayor Boodle back in Orange Town. When the Black Cat pirates come, we complete the Usopp puzzle, and we get to see how he fights. We saw briefly his ability with his slingshot, echoing his father's abilities as a sharpshooter, but we also see that he uses tricks, deception, any sort of tool that he has at his disposal. Usopp is versatile, he thinks on his feet, even if he doesn't necessarily think things all the way through. And it's great how this part of Usopp's character stays consistent. His tools may evolve, but he never devolves into being just a sharpshooter. Oh, and of course I missed one more thing. Usopp's true captain quality. When his crew is in danger, even if it puts his own life at risk, Usopp is willing to die to protect them. All the way back in Chapter 1, that was the role of the captain that Luffy admired most, and Usopp fulfills that criteria. Kuro does not. And let's get back to talking about him, because once the fight starts and Kuro shows up, we really get to see his true colors. Where do we start? I think I'll start with the fact that Kuro, canonically a really smart character, according to Oda himself, is far too proud of his own intellect. So much so that his pride is his downfall. It's another way that he contrasts to Usopp. Usopp is great at thinking on his feet, adjusting as the situation demands it. Kuro, on the other hand, even when all these obstacles show up, even when his plan has obviously irrevocably changed, even when better options show up, he's so damn proud of his 3-year plan that he can't possibly fathom doing anything different. He's absolutely, completely inflexible. It's kind of sort of foreshadowed a couple of chapters prior. Kaya has gotten Kuro a custom pair of glasses, made so that he won't have to keep adjusting them on his face like his current pair. A very thoughtful gift, one that shows Kaya has been paying attention to him and his needs, the sort of gift that makes your life better. And what does Kuro do? Destroy them. Even on a surface level, that's just stupid. Wear the dang glasses, it will literally make your day-to-day life easier. But no, Kuro doesn't want to receive anything from Kaya now because he's going to take it all later. On a more metaphorical level, giving Kuro glasses could literally be viewed as Kaya giving Kuro a new perspective, a literal new way of looking at things, something that is more comfortable, a life with her. There has been no indicator that Kaya is terrible or a hassle to serve. Mary seems quite happy looking after her. But Kuro rejects this. He cannot replace his original vision, his original plan, even if it doesn't fit properly, even if it isn't the best option. He won't consider a new path. He won't even try the glasses on. This gets doubly affirmed when Kaya literally offers him her wealth. Take everything, just spare the village, but no. Kuro wants it his way. His vaunted 3-year plan means that Kaya needs to be accidented to death the way that he wanted. And this, getting back to the original point, is his downfall. He is so confident in his plan that he can't possibly see it failing, and he causes it to fail himself. He lets Usopp go, who obstructs the Black Cat pirates from reaching the village, and who protects Kaya from Jungo. Even originally, if he didn't drive Usopp away from Kaya when all he was doing was telling her stories, Usopp wouldn't have gone to the beach where he overheard Kuro's plan in the first place. There are several moments where he could have killed Usopp's crew or Usopp himself, but he's so fixated on Django hypnotizing Kaya and getting her to write the will that he doesn't do it. Hell, if he just joined the fight and took down Zoro while he was occupied with the Meow Band brothers instead of stressing everybody out with a 5-minute timer, he would have won. He was so fixated on keeping his hands clean and having his ex-pirate crew do all the work that he ruined his own plans. Jeez. Got a little heated there. I do actually like Kuro when put against other East Blue villains, his style, his demeanor. He's a bit like a prototype Crocodile, but still, unlike Crocodile, Kuro was missing several backup plans. His plan falls apart, he gets defeated by Luffy with a fitting headbutt showing that there's more than one way to use your head, and he gets thrown back to the crew he abandoned. I'll talk about Luffy and Kuro's fight in the next video, yes, this will be a 2-parter, but let's round out the rest of Usopp's tale. He first convinces Kaya and his crew to lie and not tell anyone about what happened with Kuro and the Black Cat pirates. Another good way to lie, to protect the peace of the village. No need to make them afraid of something so rare, let the village remain its peaceful way of life. The other side of the lie is to show Usopp's selflessness. He's been lying for most of the story to build up his image, but now he can legitimately brag about being brave, about protecting everyone, but he doesn't. Even if being seen as brave, as heroic is something that he wants, it's not worth sacrificing the peace of those around him. I also love the scene as the village wakes up and they try to do their usual morning routines, but something is off. Usopp isn't running around causing a ruckus. Some people accidentally sleep in, others don't realize it's time for work. Their mornings just aren't right without Usopp. It's a nice way to show that even this lie really did bring something positive to his village. But let's talk about one of my favorite scenes of the arc, Usopp disbanding his crew. We see him feigning that he feels fine, but panel by panel he struggles more and more until he breaks down crying. But the best part of this scene is him getting his crew members to declare their ambitions, their dreams. Then he tells them to keep the fire of those dreams alive. In the same way that his father left him, abandoning his wife and child to pursue his dream of being a pirate, Usopp does the same, leaving the village he loves, the people he cares about most, to pursue his own dream. But before he leaves, he makes sure that his crew will follow their own dreams. It's a bit of a sad scene when Usopp joins the Straw Hat crew, not because he's saying goodbye, but because it shows that despite all the acts of heroism that Usopp has shown, his self-confidence is still non-existent. He's surprised when Luffy and Zoro tell him to get aboard the ship. He can't believe it. He's overjoyed. He was fully expecting that he'd have to go out to the sea alone. Let's put this doubt about his place in the crew in the treasure chest for later, shall we? There's a little more to Usopp's story, mainly his backstory, detailing how he started lying about the daily pirate invasion due to a hope that his father would one day return. And I'll put this lie about a wonder medicine that can cure any illness in the chest as well. It provides additional context to some of Usopp's actions, and how, at least as a child, his lies, or as his mother put it, wild tales, is Usopp's way of dreaming. If he can tell a story about this medicine, maybe it might exist. Maybe if he calls himself a brave warrior of the sea enough, that's what he'll eventually become. And that's the tale of two liars, of Usopp's introduction, the brave young man with no self-confidence, who wants to be a pirate, who sees pirates as brave warriors of the sea, who tells stories about his exploits to others and lies about his real achievements to himself. More than just a sharpshooter and someone who inspires others, even Luffy and Zoro, to follow him. The fourth crew member of the Straw Hats. I think I'll leave it at that for now. That's 7 pages of script just covering Usopp and Kuro. I still have to talk about what we learn about Luffy, Zoro, and Nami in this arc. We get introduced to the Going Merry. I haven't even touched on Django, and arguably he's had much more of a story presence than Kuro has. Then there's the start of Oda's first cover story and what that means, as well as the implications of Axe-Hand Morgan appearing in Kuro's flashback. Then there's the world building and themes. Gosh, I'm realized that the more characters are added to the crew and the longer each story becomes, the more we learn about everyone. This may have been Usopp's story first and foremost, but there's plenty of great development for Luffy, Zoro, and Nami too. So I'll see you again in Syrup Village, everything else. And remember, it's not I attempt new things, it's we attempt new things. Thank you all for watching, and I hope you have a fruitful day.